Hi, hello, long time no see. The last time we were talking, I was letting you guys know that I just got engaged. It has since been 4.5 months. That's a very long time since I've been on my channel, and I thought that this would be a great new idea for a series. I just recently did my hair and makeup trial for my wedding, and I absolutely hated it. I hated everything about it. I didn't like my makeup at all. I didn't like how it looked in pictures, and I didn't like my hair. My hair fell out within 2 hours, and you can tell that my makeup just like didn't look blended in the corners. It didn't really do much to sculpt my face. I don't know, it was just not worth the money. And bridal makeup and hair is very expensive. And as you guys know, I am relatively good at doing my own makeup, so I am going to be doing a series here where I am testing out different makeup looks, different products until I find the best look for me for my wedding day. And I would love your feedback and your opinions on different products that you like, that work really well for you, that are long lasting, maybe colors or shapes and things that you think look better or maybe don't look that good on me. I would love to hear everything you guys think in the comment section below. So if you guys are interested in this series, then go ahead and keep on watching. So I'm first gonna start off with my skincare because that's what I would do the day of the wedding as well. And the first thing I use is Aquaphor. This is the Healing Ointment Advanced Therapy. This is the only thing that I can use on my lips without having issues, because if you guys have been following me for a while, then you know that I have eczema on my lips, and pretty much everything makes them irritated, dry, disgusting. So I can't use most lip products on myself. This is the only thing that I can use. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use the Naturium Glycolic Acid Resurfacing Solution. This has AHA, exfoliating liquid, and glycolic acid. And this is just gonna be great to prep the skin, remove any dead skin cells, and it will help for all of my makeup to go on a lot smoother. And what's good about this is it's good for sensitive skin. There's no fragrance in it. When I did my trial, she used something, or she tried to first use a product from Fresh, which is filled with fragrance, that like rose toner, which would break me out in a second. And then instead she used something from Ole Henriksen, like an oil controlling one. And my makeup looked so cakey on top of whatever skin prep she did. So I am gonna be using my own skincare that I know my skin likes and I know that makeup lays very well on top of. The next thing that I'm going to use is my Desi Skin Claro Que Si Vitamin C Serum. This stuff makes my skin glow. It is so, so pretty. I love it. I just take about 1.5 pumps. I warm it up in my hands and then I go ahead and push it into the skin. And this goes all over face and neck. I almost forgot. First thing when I wake up in the morning on my wedding day, I'm gonna be using my new face, and I like this hydrating aqua gel. This is with hyaluronic acid and glacial water. I find it to be non-sticky, absorb into the skin nicely, and I find that it doesn't break me out, okay? I don't have any irritation from it. I've been using it pretty much every day, and I'm gonna be using it on days leading up to my wedding as well. But it definitely plumps up the skin, and it just makes my skin look a lot more youthful, and I find that I don't have as many deep smile lines or just like deep expression lines on my forehead, and just the texture overall of my skin looks a lot better when I use it. But I don't want to use this gel cream right underneath my makeup, so I want to use it in the morning, then I'll rinse off the product and then continue with the rest of my skincare from the glycolic acid, which I just did. So we just finished up with our serum. The next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and use my moisturizer and eye cream. This is the Naturium Multi-Peptide Moisturizer. My skin, since I started using this, has been amazing. I've had way less breakouts. My skin looks so plump, so hydrated. The texture has been a lot more even. The skin tone has been a lot more even, and I don't have any irritation from it, which is great. And I find that my skin is no longer like super, super, super dry or super, super oily. I feel like it really balances out my combination skin. So that just goes everywhere, face and neck. And then I'm gonna go ahead and blend out that eye cream. We are moisturized. Now we're gonna continue on with the base. The base is the most important part of this. I'm gonna be using the Laneige Glowy Makeup Serum. This is a base serum. This is for hydrating and long-lasting makeup wear. So I like to squeeze the little stopper while it's inside the bottle because it's a little bit thicker in consistency, so sometimes it doesn't come up into the dropper very well. But I'm gonna take a little pea-sized amount and I'm gonna go ahead and place this over the whole face. It gives such a nice glowy hydrated look to the skin, and it definitely has so far prolonged the wear of my makeup. I'm waiting in between each step, but not like overly waiting. I just, you know, want things to dry down instead of just putting things on top of each other while they're still super wet. I'm going to be using the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. This is just gonna go in, I'm using actually the smallest amount. I don't even know if you could see it on my finger, but I'm gonna be using a drop of this, just kind of like here, on the sides of my nose, on my nose, because this, and right here, right in between my eyebrows. This is where I really need a bit of like a sticky base to make sure the products really stick to these areas, because this is where I personally get a bit sweaty and my makeup tends to leave first. So just like right here, whatever's left on my fingers, I'm just bringing down in the rest of my T-zone. Okay, so we want a little bit of that tackiness right there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and color correct a little bit. I get a nice shadow right here, even if I'm freshly threaded, and underneath my eyes. So I have two different products that I've been playing around with. This is the new Sephora Skin Concealer, and this is the new Bobbi Brown Corrector Stick. And I got this in Very Deep Peach, and this in 23.5P. So this has a little bit of a peachy pink undertone. It's too dark as a concealer for me, and this is like a true deep peach. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this, just very little amount over here, because this is like my biggest problem area. There's always a shadow. Always a shadow. And then I'm gonna use something a little, let's just use like a drop on my inner corner right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and blend this with my finger ever so slightly. This is definitely thicker in texture. I wouldn't use a brush with this, like you really want this to melt and move where you want it to be. And same for down here. And then just a drop of this guy, because it's liquid, it's going to be a little bit lighter as well. We're going to layer very light layers of different products. But this also has like that little light peach color, and I'm just going to use this to color correct all in here of my under eyes. I want to bring whatever's extra right here on the sides of my nose. And I'm going to take whatever's left on that brush and just add a second little layer down here. And even just from that, you can see that it just brightened up a lot of those dark areas of my skin. Before I put any other base products on, I am going to put some setting spray. This is MAC Fix Plus. We want to put layers of products that are going to help our makeup last and stay all night long. I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. This is in shade 4, medium. And I am just going to take this on the highest points of my skin right here, because I do want some glowiness, because I'm going to be going in with a matte foundation. So I want to add the glowiness back into the skin, where I'm going to be inevitably taking it away with a longer lasting matte foundation. And then I'm just going to stipple this into that area with a dual fiber brush. This one is from Morphe. This is the G39 brush. And I'm just keeping it right on the tall points of my cheeks. Now, in order to add a bit of natural contouring to the skin, I'm gonna be going in with my contouring color underneath my foundation. So this is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick in light medium. So I'm just gonna be taking this and I'm just going to add a bit of product here, the perimeter of my forehead, a bit on the sides of my nose, under my lip, my jawline, and then here down the center of the neck. You want to create this shadow here so that it creates an illusion that there's like hollowness right here. You're just gonna go ahead and start pushing this into the skin. It doesn't need to be perfect because we are gonna be blending foundation over this. And then I'm gonna bring up this nose contour into my brow. And I prefer to do all of my base products before my shadows and my brow because I like to blend all of my base products into my eyelids, into my eyebrows, and then everything connects seamlessly. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of my cream bronzer from Chanel. This is in the original shade. I know they do have a different shade now. And I'm just gonna go over some of these sections. So we're just adding a little bit of warmth to the skin. All of our base products are now on. Everything that's going underneath the foundation is on my face. And this looks really good to me. I'm really liking where we're at, and nothing looks heavy, especially even in person. Nothing looks heavy. It just looks like my skin is amazing, which is exactly what we're going for. So now, this is kind of where I don't know what direction I want to go in yet. Normally, for like long wear special events, I do a mix of these two foundations right here. This is the new NARS foundation. This is the, oh, what the heck is this called? Light Reflecting Foundation. Okay, and I have the shade Valencia M5. And I have the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation in 3N2 Honey. So normally what I do is I use this on the perimeter of my skin and this in my T-zone. But I also have this Dior foundation. This is the Backstage Face and Body in 2.5N. And this is apparently waterproof, super long wear. I have been testing this out and I do really like it a lot. I do find that it is waterproof, it's sweat proof, it is tear proof. I've been testing it out, let me tell you. But I do feel like it doesn't look as airbrushed as this combination right here. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm actually not gonna use the Dior foundation. I'm going to be using this tried and true combo for this first trial with the base, everything the way that I want it so far. And we're gonna see how this looks, okay? This is also where the Beauty Blender is gonna come in, damp beauty sponge, okay? I am going to first start off with the Laura Mercier in the center of my face, okay? So, tiny little pump, you don't need too much. And I'm gonna start with this kind of right in the center of the face. Notice I didn't put anything right directly under my eyes because we're gonna be putting concealer there. So I'm just gonna start stippling this out in the center of my forehead. This foundation color is also just a little bit lighter than the NARS, which is good because we do want lighter in the center of our face and darker in the perimeter. Again, we're working in light layers. And now we'll go ahead and do a bit more of a generous amount of the NARS, but again, starting off with a little, you can always add more. And we're going to put this on everything else. And we, of course, want to blend the two foundations into each other. And we're gonna get on the lid as well, up into the eyebrow. I am obsessed with this combination. And notice we still have a nice and glowy base, but especially in person, it's a nice soft matte finish. And this is where we're at before we even put powders on. So that is a good sign, because we're not gonna look super two-dimensional. We're still gonna look very bridal and glowy. I'm obsessed with this combination. For any areas that need just a little bit of extra coverage, I'm gonna be using my Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer in 3.5N. This is just a little bit darker than the one that I would put underneath my eyes. But right now, I just have those two little spots that I want covered. And I'm gonna use my Soft Blend Concealer F64 brush to really concentrate that product. And then I'm just gonna use the beauty blender that we just put foundation on with and stipple out the edges. For me personally, I find the Huda Beauty concealer a little bit heavy for underneath my eyes. So I'm gonna be using my Too Faced Born This Way concealer in light beige, because I do want a nice and bright under eye. So I'm gonna be going in with this. But again, I'm not gonna put the product straight right in that inner corner. I'm gonna place it just a little bit lower, small amount, in the areas I want to highlight and lift. And I'm gonna do just a little bit here on the bridge of my nose, right like above the eyebrows, here on the chin. And then I'm gonna take my Huda in shade 2.7N, so this one's a little bit lighter than the one that we just did to spot conceal. And I'm just gonna put a drop of it a little bit lower down to add some more brightness. And I'm gonna put literally the smallest amount right here, kind of like at the sides of my lips, underneath where my cheekbones would be, to lift that area. So I'm actually gonna go in and blend this area first, and I'm gonna blend it up. So this just like helps with the sculpting of the face. Since we put that cream contour under the foundation, I'm going to add some dimension from adding light back to the skin with the concealer. And I'm blending with a brush first, and then I'm gonna go in with the beauty blender to diffuse it even more. I just don't want too much product taken away with the sponge right away. So again, I'm placing it here in the outer corner to lift. Quick spray of Fix Plus. I'm gonna take my damp beauty sponge again, and I'm going to actually just spray a little bit of my Fix Plus onto my sponge, take off most of that moisture onto the back of my hand, and then I'm going to blend out my concealer under the eye. So this is gonna help it set as we're blending as well. I like to bring some of that concealer on the sides of my nose so that we're highlighting. Now what I'll do is I'll take my brush And I'll add just like whatever product was left over on the brush. Push that into the skin here. And I go back and forth between blending with the brush and like stippling on a little bit of product and then re-blending with my beauty blender. And then blend out the bridge of the nose as well. I'm gonna take whatever's left over on the brush and I'm going to use this as a lid primer. And again, removing excess and blending more with the beauty sponge. Okay, this base is looking very, very good. Just want to zoom you guys in so you guys can see up close what it looks like. Last of the cream products before we start to set the face, we are going to be using Rare Beauty Hope Blush. So in order to do this, because this is extremely pigmented, I am actually going to take a little bit on the back of my hand, just a drop right here, and I'm using my Merit Beauty brush. I'm going to pick up some product and I'm going to place it further back on my cheeks and kind of bring it up in a bit of a C shape. And I like to blend this into my brow. Now right here, I'm just gonna take the brush that I used earlier for my contour and bronzing cream products, and I'm just going to blend that blush, like the bottom parts of it, with whatever product is left over. And I'm gonna take that on my forehead as well, and the sides of my nose. And then again, I just wanna blend underneath my eyes with my beauty blender so that this area all blends into each other. So now I'm gonna set the under eyes. But before I do that, again, spraying my sponge with a bit of Fix Plus, and I'm gonna spray my face as well, okay? I'm gonna let this dry down just a little bit. Take my concealer brush, quick last second blend to make sure that there's nothing in those creases. Then I'm going to pick up translucent powder on my beauty blender, looking up, and placing a generous amount underneath the eyes, okay? I'm making sure to get smile lines underneath the chin and up to the temple and in between the forehead as well. And I'm just gonna let this sit for a minute without smiling, without talking too much, without being too expressive, because I don't want to create smile lines. This should feel pretty tight and uncomfortable. And while this is setting, I'm gonna take the Dior Backstage Face and Body Powder in shade 3N Neutral and this Real Techniques brush, load up some powder on my brush, and I'm just going to set the perimeters of the skin. And I'm gonna bring this down my neck as well. Now to dust the under eye powder away and to add a little bit more lightness into the center of the skin, I'm going to use the Givenchy Prism Libre in shade number 4. Okay, so all of these colors in here are color correcting powders, and they are going to help, color correct underneath the eyes and add some brightness. So I'm just going to mix some of those powders together in the cap, and I'm going to grab that on my Sigma F35 brush. Everything is pretty much blended off of the handle here, and I'm just going to dust away that Laura Mercier powder while dusting on this color correcting prism powder. And this is just gonna lighten this under eye area. And now again, just a spray of Fix Plus. I've zoomed in a bit so that we can work on the brows and the eyes before we do the powder products. And I'm just going to first back comb my brows with the Anastasia brow gel. I actually did just order the Got To Be brow gel because it's way more extra strong hold to this. But I don't have any products in the brows yet. So I'm just gonna coat them with brow gel. I'm gonna let them sit for just a minute, and then I'll comb them in place and fill them in just a little bit. Okay, so these are brows on. Now we're gonna move on to the eyes. So for the eyes, I would typically use my Makeup Geek singles, but I just found out that Makeup Geek went out of business. So I do have some dupes for my most used shades, like Vanilla Bean Peach Smoothie, this was like Latte something, Creme Brulee, Frappe, and what is this? Sidekick, like all these like kind of mid-tone brown transition shade colors. I have found that the One Size palette, I don't know if this palette has a name, Visionary palette, has a lot of those similar shades. So this one right here is a little bit like Vanilla Bean, this one right here is like Peach Smoothie, and then you have some other kind of like neutral transition shades, and these are so pigmented and very easy to blend and work with. So I think I'm gonna use this palette. The first thing that I'm gonna do is take the lightest shade in the palette. So I'm gonna take Manila Sands right here, and I'm gonna take that on this Laura Mercier Finishing Ponytail brush. And I'm going to start by placing that on the inner corner to add some brightness in here. And I'm taking it kind of like in this socket area so that that shadow that we created earlier with the cream bronzer creates a little bit of a nose contour right here. And it lifts and opens up the eye. You guys can see the difference right here. So again, just kind of popping that in here. And then the other place that I'm gonna place this shadow is going to be underneath the brow bone to highlight that area. And I like to just push the product in right there. So personally, I like a matte eyeshadow look, and I like something that's going to be lifted and kind of more smoked outward, like a cat eye shape on me personally. So that is what I'm gonna do. I am first going to take my favorite blending brush, if I can find it, the Sigma E40 brush. So I actually did just get a new one recently, and the pink one is the new one, the black one is the old one. You can see that the bristles are just a little bit longer, and mine that I've had for about 8 years is a little bit fluffier because I've used it so much. So the new one doesn't do exactly what the old one does, but maybe I just need to break it in a little bit more. Sigma E40 brush is my favorite transition blending brush. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tap into Mango right here, which would be our peach smoothie shade from Makeup Geek, which is one of my favorite transition shades because it just lets me map out where I want my shadow without being a color that you're gonna see underneath all the other colors that we're gonna put on top. When I get to the tail of my brow and this kind of like outer corner section of my eye, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to drag outward and upward. So I'm creating a bit of a cat eye wing with that transition shade. So I'm bringing the shadow out past my brow. It's right in here. So very lightly kind of building this up. And you'll notice here in this little like inner corner, instead of bringing it down, I'm stopping right where we brought up that inner corner highlight shade. So I'm almost shading my lid in this like diagonal shape, but with a little bit of a curve. Shoop, shoop, just like that. So small circular motions and then a little flick in the outer corner. Now I'm taking my next favorite brush. I do have the long handle version as well, but I prefer this little like travel size that I got a long time ago as well. And I'm gonna take Taupe of My Game. So this is a little bit more of a cool toned mid brown versus this right here is a little bit too warm for what I'm going for. I'm liking this shade right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and deepen this crease. So I'm placing it kind of like right above where the socket of my eye is, so where that line is, where my eyeball naturally goes in, and I'm taking it inward again to meet that light shade that we brought in from the inner corner. Wiggling back and forth right here, and then once I got most of the color off, I'm gonna flick out the excess. The same way we did with that transition shade. So this is just going a little bit lower, a little bit more concentrated, and flicking it out right here. So this second color is going to be the majority of the eye look, so take your time blending with this one, and then you're going to want to take a clean blending brush and blend those two shades together, because we don't want this to be too over the top. We still want it to be kind of bright and youthful. So you don't want to keep on adding color as you're blending things together, and that's where a clean blending brush comes in handy. And you can always go back in with that original bright shade and add a little bit to that inner corner to kind of clean up this front part of the eye. Also, you can add more underneath the brow bone, and that's gonna help you clean up that transition shade by the brow as well. So I'm gonna go back in again and just add like a little second layer over here. And I'm just slowly gonna build up this shadow. And as I'm starting to build this up, I'm gonna start bringing it down into the lashes. So we're creating a C here and then also flicking it out. I'm gonna go in with a slightly darker brown shade right here. This is Brownie. And I'm gonna take that on the Makeup Geek crease brush, but any kind of dome shaped brush will do. And I'm just going to start at the outer corner of my lash line. Just kind of slightly smoke this out right here. Just slightly. And then whatever is left over, I'll just flick it up and out to make a pretend little wing. Same thing out here. Just placing it in this little outer corner. And then follow that wing that we've already been making with the shadow and just flick this up and out. Okay, so we're lifting the eyes here with that process, and then if you want to take your blending brush and kind of connect everything together here and flicking it out. That is what we're doing. And then I'll go and take that original matte shade and kind of clean up this area a little bit. Think of it as like an eraser. So I'm going back in with that taupe shade and kind of connecting this C here with that fake wing that we created. Just make sure that everything blends together, and then taking that clean brush and just blending on top of that. Okay, so we're gonna keep blending this area in a minute, but first what I wanna do is I'm gonna take the Makeup by Mario Master Pigment Pro Pencil in Super Black, and I'm going to line the outer corner of this upper lash line, and I'm actually going to tight line. I am going to be getting lash extensions before my wedding, but this really helps to connect the lashes to any lash band that you're going to be using, or just making sure that your fake lashes, whatever they are, extensions or strip lashes, connect into your real lashes. Okay, and I'm just gonna take a little bit on the actual upper lid right here. I'm gonna work one eye at a time just so I have a lot of time to work with it. And I'm gonna take the brush on the other end and smudge that and flick it out into this map that we've already created for ourselves. And I'm keeping this on the outer third of the eye. I don't want it to be a full wing. I don't want that vibe. I want it to stop in the outer corner. I want it to be pretty smoky, just because we want to keep that lift. So I managed to get something that I don't want here on this lid space. I'm just gonna use my finger to try and smudge it away. If I need to, I'll grab a Q-tip. But if not, let's just cover that up with our original little lid shade. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this lid shade that we took on the inner corner right here, and I'm just gonna sweep that over the whole lid space into these colors that we have in this outer corner right here, just to brighten up the whole lid. I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye. And for the lower lash line, I'm gonna take taupe of my Game shade that we used for the first deepening color, and I'm going to put that on my lower lash line in the outer corner. I don't want too much happening on the lower lash line, especially because I think I do want to do some individual lashes on my lower lash line, like fake lashes. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of that in this outer corner right here. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of that dark brown brownie shade again and layer that on top as well. Let's go ahead and curl the lashes. I did curl them before I started the shadow. I just wanna do that quick little recurl. And if you're gonna be using any sort of whitening eye drops, I would do that now. Just put a little bit, like just one drop per eye, have a tissue underneath your eye in case you tear before you put mascara on, for sure. So this will obviously look very different with a fake lash, but bear with me because I don't have one with me and we still need to finish the rest of the face. But this is what the eye look is currently looking like. Okay, time to finish up the face. So for blush, I want to use this one from Dior. This is the pink, 001 pink Backstage Rosy Glow blush. And it is so pretty and very bridal. I am going to be using this angled brush from Sephora. I'm just going to dip on in there. And again, I like to keep my blush a little bit further back on the cheeks. And blush is the first thing to go and what I feel like makes the look very bridal. So I'm gonna go pretty heavy on the blush and I want to create a bit of a C shape right here with it. And I think I'm gonna mix in just a little bit of MAC At Dusk Extra Dimension blush. This one has a bit of a like pinky sheen to it, and I'm just gonna add that here to the apples of my cheeks and bring it back. And then I do like to put just a little bit on the bridge of my nose, just to add a little bit of color right there. For a highlighter, I'm using Bobbi Brown Pink Glow. And then for bronzer, I'm gonna use Burberry #1 Warm Glow. So I'm going to add a bit more Fix Plus now to make sure that all the powders melt into the skin, but I want to cover my eyes so that it doesn't get my mascara wet and that transfers. So for lips, I'm going to use the Makeup by Mario Ultra Suede Sculpting Lip Pencil in Tan. I'm going to use the other end to blend it inward. And I haven't figured out what lip shade to use yet. I'm going to try this YSL Rouge shade #1. I feel like this is a little bit too pale for me. Wondering what it'll look like if I mix in some Velvet Teddy from MAC. I think the lip color is where I'm like really stuck. I don't know what to do. For an inner corner highlight, I'm gonna use Blanc Type by MAC. And I'm just gonna get like right in here. It's even brighter of a white than the one that we used earlier. I'm just gonna literally get right in here, and it's just gonna open up the eyes a lot more. And I'm even gonna take a little bit right underneath the inner corner of the lower lash line. You guys see the difference on these two eyes? Just wiggle that in right there. And then last setting spray, I'm gonna do the Urban Decay All Nighter. And let's see what this all looks like when my hair looks a little bit more put together. So I'm not the best at hair, but you guys get the idea, okay? And imagine a veil and a headpiece. I zoomed out a little bit so you guys can see the full effect. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope that you guys would leave me some feedback. Do we like it? Do we not like it? What would you change? Would you change any of the products? Would you change any of the colors? Do we like the blush? Do we like the shadow? Do we like the lip? Let me know in the comments section below, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, if you learned something new, and hopefully I will see you in a future video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.